People love Broly. There is no denying how popular Broly is as a character, but at the same time, Broly is also one of the most hated characters in all of Dragon Ball Z. I honestly don't think Broly would be as hated of a character if people didn't over-sensationalize his strength. If you ask me, Broly as a character has so much potential. A while back I actually made a video stating 10 things I would change in Dragon Ball Z, and one of the things I said I would change was Broly, and a lot of people have asked me to elaborate, so that's exactly what's going to be taking place in the next couple of minutes. I'm going to be going through all of Broly's history, and just touching up some of the things that I would have changed along the way. So Broly was born on age 737, the exact same day as Goku. Other notable events that took place that exact same year include Frieza blowing up planet Vegeta and Chi-Chi being born. But so far so good. I would not change anything yet because Goku being born on the exact same day as Broly sets up for a great rivalry. And for those of you that somehow don't know, Broly was born with a power level of 10,000. And that's where we run into our first problem. I would not give Broly a power level of 10,000 straight from birth. I would change Broly's power level from 10,000 to 20,000. If Broly has a power level of 20,000 from birth, that would make him stronger than every single Saiyan alive at that point in time. And considering how unstable Broly's power would be, it would make him even more of a threat for King Vegeta. I would also make it so Broly accidentally kills one or two low-class Saiyans just to prove how much of a prodigy Broly really is. Therefore, King Vegeta would have no choice but to kill Broly. Now, this is where things get controversial. Broly's father Paragus was so enraged about what King Vegeta was planning on doing with his only son that he decides to try and stop him. Obviously, since King Vegeta is much stronger than Paragus, Paragus dies right then and there. King Vegeta would then go on to throw Broly out with the trash, thinking that he was dead. Then events would play out as they normally do, but this time Broly would be alone. Now, just a quick break in sequence, I would not change Broly's design. Broly's design for me is near perfection. But going back to Broly's character, I was talking about Broly raising himself. I feel like this would be the best way to go, because this way Broly would experience life his own way, instead of having to be controlled by Paragus. And what I'm hoping that would result in is Broly being less sadistic. Now, we all know that Broly can travel through space. It was shown in the very first movie where he creates an energy barrier around himself, therefore allowing him to survive in space. So in my version of Broly's story, I would make it so Broly wakes up on a random planet. The planet that Broly would wake up on would be civilized. It would have very intelligent beings. This would also factor in as to why Broly would be less sadistic. Now, don't get me wrong, Broly is insane. He was born like that, and that's not going to change. But the way he was portrayed in his movies, he was almost too insane, and I get why he was. It's because Goku was crying as a baby, and that pretty much set Broly off. And in my version, that's not a factor. That does not play any key role. Of course, Goku still would have cried, but I would not have made it affect Broly at all. Why would Broly care if Goku was crying? Either way, the redone version of Broly would have a good sense of self. He would understand who he is. Don't get me wrong, he would still destroy stuff, because that's what he does. But after being raised on a planet filled with intelligent beings, the inhabitants of the planet would eventually tell Broly of his past. They would tell him about the Saiyans and that he was the prodigy that was left to die. This obviously enrages Broly, allowing him to reach his Super Saiyan transformation. So in my version of Broly's redone story, he does not get angry at the sight of Goku, he gets angry at the sight of Saiyans. As Broly's transformed into a Super Saiyan for the first time, he blows up the planet he was raised on and then leaves. Like I said before, my version of Broly may not be as insane as the real Broly, but in a rage, he loses his mind. Again, keep in mind, just because I said Broly was born with a power level of 20,000, that doesn't mean he's twice as strong when he's fully grown. All that means is that he was born with a power level of 20,000. In fact, I wouldn't change Broly's strength at all, I would keep it as it is. So after Broly turns into a Super Saiyan for the first time, let the original Broly movie commence, just with slight modifications. Honestly, the original Broly movie was pretty solid, I wouldn't change much about it. If I could compare my version of Broly to any villain in the Dragon Ball series, it would be Frieza, mixed with Cell in terms of personality. Cell is arrogant, while Frieza has a good sense of self. Fuse those two personality traits together and then you get my version of Broly. Now, like I said before, in terms of strength, Broly is going to be exactly the same. But I will say, just like Frieza, with more training, Broly could be phenomenal. In my version, of course. Now, going back to the original Broly movie, I would have events play out fairly similar. The only noteworthy change would be Broly's death. And to be honest, I know I'm gonna let you guys down here, but I don't know how I would kill off Broly. Simply having Goku punch him once is not going to cut it. But once Broly dies, that is it. We don't see him in Second Coming. We don't see him in Bio Broly. Once he dies in the original movie, he is done. And that is how I would redo Broly. Let me know if you would do it the same way or if you would change anything that I've just said. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, so I'm pretty interested to hear what you guys have to say. But as always, I will see you in the next Dragon Ball Z video.